3, the news will be re-edited, added to, and repositioned as more facts flow in. By the time the final is out in late afternoon, it will be almost a brand new paper.
Okay.
Mr. Hayden, I have some messages for you. American Motors about Roy Chapin.
Okay, we'll call that.
You return, and Mr. Worthington would like to talk to you, and here are two personal.
Okay.
The editor's first order of business will be to check over the first edition, to evaluate the treatment of news.
It's divergent opinion and the discussion thereof that makes democracy work. After all, one of the great things about American newspapers in general is that if you read only that, you're going to get a pretty good view of what's going on in the world.
Number 2 man on the news side is the managing editor, responsible for the day-to-day reporting and writing of hard news. Wars, politics, fires, and men who bite dogs are all in his special province.
When you get into a metropolitan newspaper, you got a special breed of cat. It's a little more than a local paper, and people expect more of it and have a right to expect more. We have access to every major wire service. The copy comes in here, just comes in here by the ton. We, like all metropolitan newspapers, maintain a Washington bureau to cover the capital itself in addition to the wire service. We also send people to places where we think we can fruitfully get something that we're not getting from the wire services. A point of view, an insight, a uniquely Detroit look, or maybe a case where we just don't think we've really gotten a good picture of what's going on someplace. Let's send somebody there and take a look. Take a man that we know and trust and send him. Send people to South America, Europe, Asia, any place that there is anything that we think we can fruitfully tell our readers that's interesting or important for them to know.
That's why we're different from, for instance, France, where if you want to know what's going on, you buy 6 papers and read all 6 of them, and by believing what you wish to believe from each one, you finally get a balanced viewpoint.
The second edition is put together. Remaking the front page, the news editor gives stories new positions and rewritten headlines as they change in importance. The idea is to keep the reader right up to the minute on facts and perspective, a job that sometimes goes unappreciated.
Well, I always feel any newspaper, magazine, you always have to take it with a grain of salt. There's not an article that's written that's not slanted.
In the articles that I've read, I've found most of them to be factual.
I don't feel we get both sides of a question, any question.
Well, I could take this paper and I can put a story in here to make any point I want about any given thing. There's no question about it. But the idea is, it's a very simple idea. So you go out and you learn everything you can about both sides of any issue. The key word to me is fairness. You've got to be fair. And I'll tell you, if we aren't, who's going to be? There isn't anything left. Television has abandoned this completely, even the so-called news magazine. This is the only place that's still even trying.
The desire to report it straight runs deep in a veteran newspaper man. It takes a lot of know-how, too.
What the real me is doesn't matter. It's what the story is, and you learn how to get it. You go out and you know the people to talk to, and after you've been in this business long enough, you know how to talk to different people. You talk to hippies one way, and you talk to police quite another way. Just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean that it's necessarily so, and if you talk to enough people at a scene, any place, you can pretty well synthesize a good, pretty well straight down the middle version of what happened, even though you'll vary in details here or there. You can come up with an honest, close to the fact story.
Sometimes getting close to the facts isn't that easy. The paper's sports columnist interviews a Yugoslav boxer using a 10-year-old boy as an interpreter.
Pape?
Rock Pape.
Rock Pape. Was that all one? What's his first name? Rock?
Ali kako to ti je ime I prezime?
How old is he?
25 years old.
125. He's well preserved.
Staying objective is a problem for a political reporter as well.
I'm kind of an old-fashioned newspaper man in a way, you know, in that I don't lead somebody by the hand or by the nose to a truth, but just try to give them the elements so that they can decide what's the truth.
Mrs. Romney, considering the effect on this country politically and considering this war...
Reporting it straight is a very interesting problem. Sure, I like to unload, but you have to remember, as a politics writer, I got to work on both sides of the fence, you know, and if I start getting very opinionated about, you know, I hate all Democrats, you know, all Democrats feel this way or that way, and never write anything harsh about Republicans or something. When I go out to cover Democrats and attend their conventions and talk with them and try to find out the why of what's going on, they won't talk to me, and I wouldn't blame them.
Being impartial, getting the facts, telling a good story. These are the everyday ingredients of any assignment. Something else helps too, a deep sense of committal to the job of reporting news.
The idea that what you write, what you find out about events and things that are happening today may influence people or at least shape their thinking about events, to me is important. If people are uninformed, how can they make reasonable decisions about my life, their lives, and the country itself? And it's as simple as that.
Can you work Saturday?
Overtime?
Okay. All right. We got the parade down Woodward, Memorial Day parade. But we also have the factor of the peace marching that wanted to parade down Woodward and didn't get a permit. And say they still might do something.
If there is a confrontation between, well, as we had in New York, between the hard hats and the anti-war kids, how do you want to cover this?
Let's make sure that we don't overemphasize any violence that may occur, because we get criticized for that, and violence always makes news, but let's be sure that it's kept in perspective unless we have real trouble.